Hi there. Good afternoon. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Hector Alvarado, and I am a professor at the School of Modern Languages here at the UCR. And today, as part of the program of activities that the Comisión de Investigación has, we have these tertulias de investigación. So today I'm going to be talking about my project, research project that has to do with transgender people in contemporary Japan's society. So I'm going to just click something here and then I'm going to try to start. Okay, first I'm going to make myself disappear and then I'm going to start talking about what my project, okay, is about. All right, so here we go. Um, just a sec, I'm going to make myself disappear and okay, uh, and here we go. All right, so this is I talk about. I'm going to talk about two different texts. Okay, so far they are a movie that is called Close Knit, and then a book, a novella by Banana Yoshimoto that is called Kitchen, that maybe you have heard about of, maybe you also have read it. Okay, so here we go. All right, first I'm going to set of the topics I'm going to be covering today. I'm going to tell why I chose this topic as my research project. Then I'm going to be talking about the context of Japan's society. Okay. After that, I'm going to be talking about the two texts that that I'm doing my research. Well, part of the texts because the idea is to have at least five from. But so far I have three or four, but I decided to talk about these two here. Okay, one is Close Knit, that is a movie, and then the other one is Kitchen. And then after that, I am going to have the conclusions. And I don't know why there are two conclusions in here. Okay, but just don't pay attention to that. It's only one, right? So here we go. Okay, why? Interesting, right? Why Japan? Some people have asked me, Hector, why do you choose that topic? And why Japan? Okay, so that about 3 or 4 years ago, I took Japanese language courses here in the UCR. So I took in Japanese 1 and Japanese 2. Okay, Nihongo, Ni, and Ichi, and I really liked the culture. Okay, and by that time I started reading. Um, um, what Japanese literature. Okay, so I studied with Murakami and I really liked it. And then I came across Banana Yoshimoto. So I read her first novel, her first book, that is Kitchen, and I really liked the story and the characters. Some months after that, a few months after that, I watched a movie that is called Close Knit. And then I found certain similarities between the characters and and also the plot of the two texts. And I started thinking about, there is something that these authors are trying to tell us. Okay, so I started thinking about it, and last year. I just came with the idea to start a research project, and and it was approved. And then this is the one that I'm working on right now for this year or next year. Okay, that it is análisis comparativo de la figura transexual o transgénero en la literatura y el cine contemporáneos japonés. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about transgender people, okay, in contemporary Japanese society, but only focusing on literature and movies or films or cinema. However, I had to do certain changes and expand that a little bit more. And so apart from movies, I'm also going to be talking about, or investigating about, or doing my research on also on TV series, because there are not so many things. Okay, so that is the reason. Okay, that's why I decided to work on this project. All right. So first, I'm going to talk about the context of the Japanese society, which is very interesting. This is a centuries old society, right? It's very well mysterious in certain aspects. They're very wise. Well, I consider them very wise. And also, as every single society, there are certain things that they need to change in a way to, update themselves with the current times. Okay, so traditionally speaking, Japan has been a very open society in the sense that they always have had this idea of transgender culture, of subculture, okay? And you can find that, okay, in mystic bisexual figures in mythology and also in shamanism, okay? So you have legends, okay, and you have myths, and some of the characters or the gods have this double uh, standard double feature, right? So in a way, it is very common, right? Then after the feudal times, okay, they had this cross-dressing or transcending gender, okay, that ideas or connotation that it was not unusual, okay. Actually, during the Edo period that dates from the 17th century to the 19th century. So we're talking about the 1600s up to the 1800s. That is the Edo period. And also during the samurai culture, okay, you're going to find the kabuki, okay, that is like, the Japanese sort of theater where you have like male actors performing all the female characters and roles, okay. So that is important. But not only that, okay, you also have this presence of duality, transgender idea in anime and in pop culture. And in a way, that is why when I was like selecting or choosing what texts to use, I decided not to use anime, although many people like anime, especially young people. But it is interesting because in anime you find a lot of transsexual characters, but you don't find that in movies, and you don't find that in books and literature. Okay, so that's why I focus on only these two elements. Okay, movies and literature. Okay. Um, it's also important to point out that they have this idea or concept. It's a very Japanese philosophy that is called the aimai, that is the noun, and the aimaina, that is the adjective, and that refers to ambiguity. Okay, that is a term for ambiguity. Aimai means ambiguous, but also it has other connotations, and that is part of the Japanese culture. Okay, it also means obscure, doubtful, indefinite, double, two-edged, okay, etc. So it has been part of the culture. Actually, there is a book that is very interesting that is called The Japanese Mind, okay, and it talks about how the Japanese society works and its structure. And the first chapter is about this. And the author points out the this idea of ambiguity, of double meaning, has been part of the Japanese culture since ancient times, and you can find that in the geography. Okay, you can find that in language. Okay, so it is very interesting. It is just like part of their collective unconscious. Okay, so that got my attention. In addition, apart from the kabuki and the samurai also characters that in a way portray these, uh, bisexual, transgender elements and the mythology of Japan. You have the pop culture, okay, and that is very common in the pop culture. So I know those of you who are like kind of my age, and maybe some of the young people will remember this guy here, okay, from a 80s anime or cartoon. It was Mazinga Seto, that is the name in English. Okay, Messengers Z, and you have this character, okay, that is called, well, in Spanish we know it as Baron Asler. In Japanese is Ashura, and it is very interesting because here you have like this duality that I'm talking about, okay, and it was presented, I think, from my perspective, right? So, from what I remember as a kid, that it was very naive, innocent. We didn't have like, oh, look at that character, is a man and a woman. I mean, maybe we saw it, but we didn't question that, and we just took it for granted. Okay, it's interesting because the story of how the Ashura was created is what they were two different individuals, a female and a male, and then they were mixed into this body. Okay, so that's how he was created. Okay, so you see, and the TV show was created and first aired in Japan in the 70s. So look, we're talking about the 70s, okay? I don't know, 40, 50 years ago, right? Here in Latin America, it became, I don't know, available until in the 80s, okay? I think 82, 83, maybe 81, I don't remember. Okay, so that is one example. Another example that I want to point out here is the the new generation or the newer generations, and they have this concept that is called the Soshukukei Danshi, okay, that is translated into something like the herbivores, okay, and herbivorous, sorry, and it is a reaction of younger generations towards the salaryman. You already know that maybe the Japanese are characterized because they are really hardworking, okay, workaholics, and they work a lot. So this newer generation, they decided to dress up as women. They are not gay. They just like to, dress up as girls, as women, and they want to have a more feminine lifestyle, okay, as a way of protesting or going against the salaryman and what also this masculinity, the idea of the man is the provider, the one who works hard, and all that idea. So it is very interesting, right? This is something new from started in the 2000s, and the term was coined in 2006 by Maki Fukasawa. Okay, and as I said before, refers to young men trying to separate themselves from the maybe capitalistic idea of the salaryman, the workaholic. Okay, and they wanted to live a more balanced life with a greater emphasis on family, but not that much on work. Okay, and then the last example I want to point out here, it's about rock music. Okay, in the 80s and the 90s in Japan, there was a huge heavy metal band that is called X Japan. Okay, and these are the members, and they used to dress up like in this sort of a drag queen transgender. Uh, I don't know, shapes, forms, dresses, or whatever you want to put it out. Okay, so again, you see, this is something that has been there in the Japanese culture, uh, has been there around for a long, long period of time. Okay, now when we talk about today, okay, I'm talking about laws, which is also important to take into consideration at the moment of analyzing the texts. Okay, there's something important. Okay, in 2003, 2004, there was this act that was approved. Okay, actually on July the 16th, and that is known as the GID Act. Okay, and that is the gender identity disorder. Okay, that was like what the government established as a way for transgender people to be able to change their what um, their sex. Okay, so that is something that at the beginning was seen as positive, but then it has been regarded as something totally negative. Actually, I want to show you this. That it says here that, for example, the GID or gender identity disorder actually is seen as a disease, all right? And it is a very long way for a person, a transgender person, to be able to change, uh, um, legally speaking, right? His or her uh, what sex, all right? Um, so basically, they have to do the following, okay? First, they don't have to be, they cannot be married. Number two, they cannot have minor children, that is under, I don't know, underage. Three, they need to be treated and diagnosed by psychiatrists, okay? Two of them at least, that who are able to determine that the condition is real, okay? And finally, I guess they also need the permission from the family. So you see, this is wow, amazing. It's allowed and can also affect the individuals, right? The person, right? Um, and you can see here, this is something from this here that this GID Act has increasingly been criticized as something that is discriminatory and also stigmatizing, okay? Because, okay, as the World Professional Association for Transgender Health and the American Psychiatric Association, okay, pointed out, it was really bad name this as a disease or mental disorder. So now, in 2013, that name was changed, and now it is gender dysphoria. Okay, so just for you to know, um, so things are changing, not maybe so fast, but at least you know there's a change going on. All right. Finally, okay. Well, not finally, but it's something important here is that the Human Rights Watch, and this is an article from March 20th, 2019, this is last year, okay, the Human Rights Watch said that there's a Japanese law that forces transgender people to undergo surgical sterilization if they want to be legally recognized by their preferred gender. So it goes together with what I said before, right? If a person, transgender person, wants to change his or her gender, right? I think I said sex before, and that is wrong. Gender, okay? They have said that it is extremely wrong what the government it is doing. They have this 84-page report, okay, in which they say that it's regressive and harmful law, okay, requiring a medical intervention as a condition of having their gender identity legally recognized because it violates Japan's human rights obligations and runs counter international medical standards. Okay, the non-governmental organization said on its website that under Japan's 2004 GID Act, this is the one that I mentioned before, transgender people waiting to legally change their gender must, and that's what I was saying earlier, they have to appeal to a family court and meet specific criteria, which include being unwed, they cannot be married, they cannot have children, and they have to be under 20 years of age. Okay, up to the applicant must also undergo a psychiatric evaluation and receive a gender identity disorder diagnosis. And three, this must also be the person has to be sterilized, okay, and either by birth or by medical procedure. Okay, so this is quite sort of a contradiction, right? If you take into account the fact that There has always been this idea of, bisexual, double identity, ambiguity in Japan. But when it comes like the time for the government to recognize the rights of the, transgender people, it is not that easy, right? So just to conclude with this part of the context. This is also appeared in newspaper, right? And this is kind of recent. It's from last year, February the 19th. Okay, you have these two transgender people. Midori, that is this Japanese woman, and then you have Ellen, he's a 45-year-old American. Okay, they have been married or well, living together, sorry, for 19 years, and they have three kids. One is, I guess, 17, the other one is 16, and then one is 9 years old. Okay, and they are challenging, okay, the government because Ellen, the American transgender, he was able to have the surgery, and legally speaking, in the United States, okay, he is a woman, right? And so when he, I don't know, presented the documents to the Japanese government, it was rejected at the beginning, but now they sort of appeal or, tried to do the whole thing again, and now the government has been analyzing the situation, and there hasn't been a verdict yet. There is no a result or a conclusion about their case. But at least it's the first time that something like this happens because legally speaking, they have the rights because Ellen did it in the US, of course, not in Japan, because remember, they cannot get married in Japan. All right. Now, that's more or less the context in the Japanese society, how difficult it is still for a transgender person to be able to change his or her gender, right? Now, we're going to talk about the two texts that I'm using for this presentation. And the first one is the movie Close Knit by Naoko Ogigami. Okay. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the director and also the script writer. Naoko Ogigami was born in 1972 in the Chiba Prefecture. When she in 1994 she moved to the U.S. to study film at the University of Southern California. She returned to Japan in 2000, and since then she has directed several films, including Yoshino's Barbershop, that it was the first movie, okay, 2003. Love is 575. Then Seagull Diner or Kamone Diner, which is a very beautiful movie, 2006. Glasses or Megane in Japanese, 2007. Toiretto, Japanese for toilet, 2010. Rent a Neko, that is Rent a Cat, that is also a very interesting movie, in 2012. And finally, Close Knit, that is the one that I'm going to be talking about here, in 2007, that is 3 years ago. Okay, now in this movie, okay, I want to start with this quote. Okay, it says it is hard, from the same director, and she said in an interview at the Berlin Festival when the movie was premiered in 2017. She mentioned that it is so hard for sexual minorities to come out of the closet in Japan. Japan is a very conservative country, but we have transgender TV stars and very famous gay stars who wear women's dresses or transvestites, okay? And we have some, not so many, sexual minority stars and people who enjoy watching them and like them very much. But that is like from a distance, right? Because as she says here, but when it comes like to me or my family, they don't want to. Okay, people don't want to have a transgender person or LGBTB person in their family or as a neighbors or as neighbors, right? So this is interesting, and this is something that she was thinking about. Also, I want to point out that in the movie, she took the idea from a newspaper. From a piece of news, and it was really interesting because it was a real situation. She read about a mother who had a transgender teenager, and then she decided to knit okay, woolen breasts for the boy, okay, before he could be able to have like the surgery, okay, and change the gender, okay. So the mother did it, and the author mentions that it got her attention because she saw that as a very tender act by the mom. All right, so that is the idea. She took the idea from this event, this real um, life event, and then came up with the movie. As I said before, the movie is from 2007, that is 3 years ago. And we have basically three main characters. We have Tomo, that is a little girl here, she's an 11-year-old girl. Then you have, well, Hiromi, that is not here, but it's not that much in the movie. We just see her at the beginning and at the end, and that is Tomo's mother. And Hiromi actually has a very disorganized life, and she is not like a caring mother, right? She has abandoned Tomo many, many times. And the previous times that she has abandoned Tomo, uh, her Tomo's uncle, that is Makyu, that is Hiromi, is the one that has to take care of Tomo. But in this case, when uh, Tomo visits her uncle and they get to the house, he sorry tells her that now he has a girlfriend and that he is living with this woman. But as he says in the movie, this woman is a little bit different. Okay, and this woman is Rinko, okay? That is the one here, okay? This is Rinko, who is a trans woman, okay? And basically what happens is that both Rinko and Makyu, they take Tomo in and take really good care of her, okay? And to the point that Rinko becomes that mother that Tomo never had, okay? It is interesting because both of them complete each other. Okay, Tomo fulfills Rinko's unsatisfied desire, okay, to be a mother, which is impossible, right? Because she cannot be pregnant and have a baby. Um, and at the same time, Rinko fulfills Tomo's need to have a mother figure, okay? So that's the story, basically. Now, in this picture, as you can see in the description below, you see Tomo and Makio, okay, the girl and the uncle, they're helping Rinko, the transgender woman, knit her woolen PPs. And this is a very interesting act in the movie. Rinko, at one moment in the movie, tells Tomo that whenever she gets angry, she doesn't react in an aggressive way. She remains quiet, but instead she starts like knitting something, and because in that way, anger and whatever negative feelings and emotions are gone through this activity. But at the same time, what she needs, okay, are penises, okay, PPs made out of wool. And that is interesting. So when Tomo asks her, why do you need PPs, as they said in the movie, she gives a very interesting, and I really like what she says. She uses some sort of the Buddhist philosophy, and she tells Tomo that she's needing 108 PPs, okay, and as a way to reach her womanhood. When she's going to be able to have these 108 woolen PPs, she's going to burn them. And at that moment, she is going to register as a woman because although she has the surgery, she's still registered as a man, okay, also as a male. So they decide to help her, and then and well, this is sort of a spoiler, but I'm sorry. They are able to come up with a 108 PPs, and they burn the PPs, and then it's like an act of being fulfilled or completion because Rinko. can now officially be a woman. Okay, of course, she has to go to the legal procedure with the government and everything, but she made up her mind. All right, good. Now, so this number 108, it's very important because within the Buddhist philosophy, okay, when it is the new year, for example, after 12, okay, uh, the Buddhist temples all over Japan, they ring the bells 108 times, okay? And it is very peaceful, okay, because it is New Year. You're supposed to be, I don't know, watching or listening to the fireworks, but there isn't any. Okay, it's the opposite. Everything is quiet. Everybody's at home. You go to bed and you fall asleep listening to the bells from the temple. And I don't know, it was a very spiritual activity. So that is one reference. Also, 100 and well, this act of ringing the bells from the Buddhist temples. It is called the Yoja no Kani. Okay, just for you to know. Another situation dealing with 108, the number is um, it is the that according to Buddhism there are like 108 afflictions, or they call it kleshas. Okay, and the kleshas are like negative feelings, destructive emotions. Okay, and if you're able to get rid of them, then you're going to be in peace with yourself, which in a way is what Ringo does after, creating these 108 PPs and burning them. It's all the negative feelings from society, frustration, anger, okay, depression, whatever you want to see, all the negative aspects, they're going to be destroyed. And then she's going to be a new individual. All right, that is also, I think, interesting, right? So these questions are like actually states of mind, but negative aspects as dealing with feelings and emotions. And then the last reference to 108 has to do also with the Buddhist um, sort of a rosary they have for prayer, okay, meditation, that is called the Juzu, okay, that it's a ring with 108 beads, okay, so that is also interesting, right? I mean, the references to Buddhism, but then incorporated it into this transgender, I don't know, theme or reality, right? Um, that's it. At the end of the movie, the mother comes back and decides to take her Tomo with her again. And when the brother Makio and Rinko tell her that they want to adopt Tomo, the mother actually laughs and says, basically, why if Rinko is not a real mother and not a woman? Okay? And then Tomo reacts in a very surprising way, and then she starts hitting the mom and basically tells her that she has never been there for her, and that, on the contrary, Rinko, at that time that she has spent with the family, with the uncle, she has been like a real mother. Cooking, for example, like the bento box. Is these boxes that the mothers prepare the food for kids in Japan that is very famous with like the shapes of animals and all that stuff. Well, Hiromi, that is Tomo's mother, never did that to her. She only ate like these paper rice balls. Well, not paper, rice balls that you can buy at the convenience stores, okay, supermarkets. That's all she eats. And Rinko, on the contrary, she cooks and prepares delicious meals for her. So at the end, the girl accepts living with the mom, but asks for one more day to stay with Rinko and Makyu, and then she leaves at the end, and that's it. She goes back to the family, to the mother, sorry, and leaves Rinko and Makyu behind. Basically, that is the summary of the movie, right? Now, this is a trailer of the movie. Okay, so I want you to see it because maybe you can have a better idea of the whole thing.
ママは私のことも捨てちゃうのかな。私の前に現れたのは
大きくなったね。
マキおじさんと
いらっしゃいともちゃん。
彼女のリンコさんでした。
ピンコです。
は
私ね、生まれた時は男の子だったの。
僕の一目惚れです。
リンコさんが私にしてくれたこと、ご飯を作ってくれた、キャラ弁を作ってくれた、髪を可愛く結んでくれた。
行ってきます。
いってらっしゃい。
ともちゃんとはもう遊んじゃダメよ。一緒にいた人見たでしょ。普通じゃないの。
私はね、これですっげえ悔しいこととか死ぬほど悲しかったりすることを全部チャラにするの。私、マキオと結婚したらトモのママになれるのかな。
リンコさんのような心の人に惚れちゃったらね、後のいろいろなことはどうでもいいんだよ。
3人だからきっと見つけられる。新しい一日がここからまた始まる。彼らが本気で編むときはちょっと気持ちいい。
Okay, so that's it, right? Very interesting, I guess. Something that maybe I forgot to mention is the fact that Rinko met Makio, or Makio met Rinko at because the mother, Makio's mother, is suffering from some sort of dementia, so she's at this place for old people. And Rinko is a nurse, and she works there, and she takes care of her mother and the other old people there. And Makio says when he tells Tomo that what got his attention, okay, about Rinko was how beautiful she was and how caring and tenderly she treated his mother. And at the beginning, he didn't know that she was transgender. When he realized that, he was sort of in doubt. But then he says, "But when you love someone like Rinko, it is impossible not to love her." So he decided to go on with the relationship. All right. It is important to point out here that Rinko has taken the surgery, okay? So the organs were removed, okay? So just for you to know, okay? And I just want to finish with this part of the movie with this quote again from the director that says, "This is kind of the first non-independent LGBT film in Japan, and we're talking about 2017. I know, but you're saying, well, Japan is not like Costa Rica. That is a very small country, and we don't have like the resources and the more economical resources that Japan has. And still, 3 years ago, for the first time, a non-independent film, okay, dealing with LGBT reality was what filmed, okay. So it is interesting, right? It says a lot about how the LGBT community has also been in a way rejected by the Japanese society. Now, I'm going to talk about Kitchen. That is the book by Banana Yoshimoto. So this is Banana Yoshimoto, okay? And Banana Yoshimoto was born in Tokyo in 1964 within a very progressive left-wing family. The father is a very famous poet, okay, radical poet, philosopher, and literary critic, okay, Takai Yoshimoto, okay. And Banana Yoshimoto also studied in the same university where his father used to work and study, that is the Nihon University, okay. And in 1985, she published a very short story that is called Moonlight Shadow, so I'm mistaken here, and she won the first prize, and that was before she was able to write and publish Kitchen in 1918. Um, she has been compared, her writing style, to the shoujo manga, that is the girls' comics or comics for girls. And then you can also see here the chauvinistic society acting in a way, trying to, I don't know, minimize her writing and her works. Okay, their novellas and their works deal always with grieving and loss and suicide and sort of a supernatural. Okay, and some of the books and short story collections, for example, are Lake, Moshi Moshi, Asleep, Lizard, and Goodbye Tsugumi, and then MP, which is a very good. I really like MP. Okay. All right. Now we can also mention about Banana Yoshimoto, that because that is not her real name, right? She took the name Banana because she really loved flowers. And then from the banana flower, that is this one here, probably you have seen that, okay? Here in Costa Rica, of course. And she says that she liked the banana flower because it is both cute, but at the same time, it's very androgynous, okay? So it is interesting, right? Again, this notion of, ambiguity presented, at least with Banana Yoshimoto and her name, right? Now, regarding Kitchen, before I talk about the summary, Kitchen was published in 1918, and when when the book came out, it was, wow, a huge success that even the media, the press, started talking about the banana mania, okay? So banana mania, okay, in Japan, because it was so famous, everybody was reading, and she was given or awarded many literary prizes, and even was sort of recommended by the Ministry of Education in Japan, okay? And Kitchen has been made into 2 movie adaptations, okay, and translated into a lot of languages as the rest of the books, okay. So it is interesting, right? Now, let's talk about a little bit about the book if you have not read it, okay. Basically, again, you have 3 characters, just like in the movie. In this case, you have Mikage Sakurai, that is the young woman. At the beginning, she had already lost both her parents, and she's living with the grandmother. And at the beginning of the story, the grandmother dies, so she's alone in her apartment, and really fully sad and depressed. And then you have Yuichi Tanabe and the mother, that is Eriko Tanabe. Okay, so Yuichi used to work at a flower shop, and used to sell Mikage's grandmother flowers. So they were really close friends. Mikage didn't know. So one day, Yuichi appears, knocks on the door, and tells Mikage to go and stay with them at their apartment and to live with them. Okay, so Mikage accepts, and there she meets Yuichi's mother, that is Eriko, and Eriko is a transgender woman. The interesting thing here is that Eriko was first the father, okay? So when the Yuichi's mother dies, then Eriko questions herself and asks, what do I want to do now that my wife is dead, and decides to be a woman because maybe that's what she really wanted to be, right, throughout her life. And then she becomes a transgender woman, not with surgery. That is important to point out. Okay, so Mikage lives with them like for, I don't know, maybe 6 months, something like that, and they become a family. All right. Eriko works at a nightclub. Yuichi studies, and Mikage works at a part-time job, and also is in charge of cooking. Something important to point out here is that the book is called Kitchen because Mikage loves kitchens so much, and it's like a symbol in the book that represents many different things, but among them represents life, right? It's where food is made, and food represents life, but also, this idea of a close-knit family being together, working together towards the same objective. Okay, so that is why the movie is called Kitchen, because Mika has obsession with kitchens. So the first time she gets to the Tanabe's house, she sees the kitchen and she falls in love with the kitchen, and decides to stay there. Later on in the second chapter of the book, we learn that Eriko was killed, assassinated, murdered, okay, by a man, because he found out that Eriko was a transgender woman. And he got really angry because he thought he was in love by a transgender woman. So he attacked her with a knife and killed her. And in return, like during the attack, Eriko also sort of, fights back and kills this man, and both of them die. And after that, what we have is like, a love story between Mikahe and Yuichi. They know to get each other, they live separate for a time, they come back, and at the end, they decide to stay. That's why I assume together and be in love and have a happy life, let's suppose. But that's not what we're going to be focusing here. We're going to be focusing on the Eriko that is a transgender woman. So I want to point out the fact that the characters, the way are portrayed by Banana Yoshimoto, of the three of them, sorry, that is the strongest one, and the one that is like completely 100% sure, okay, totally confident is Eriko. So by doing this, Banana Yoshimoto portrays transgender women as powerful, beautiful, because using Mikahe's words, and we're going to see later on, Eriko is the most beautiful woman she has ever seen, okay? But also a good mother, just like in the previous movie. And the previous text in the movie with Rinko, it was an excellent mother. Eriko is an excellent mother too. So that is important, because the other two characters, they are not so strong, okay? Actually, Yuichi, that is a young man, but he's very weak and actually very feminine. And so his manhood is really questioned through the situations. He's always crying and in grief, and he's not strong enough, and he wants to run away, right? He doesn't want to show, okay? And his feelings and emotions to tell, for example, Mikahe that he really likes her. And Mikahe on the also is a young woman, but is not that strong as Eriko, although she's stronger than Yuichi. And she is the one who at the end, makes up her mind and takes the decision to confront Yuichi and, try to save the relationship, and then they end up being together, and that is thanks to Mikahe, right? Not to Yuichi. So she's constantly in grief and in pain, okay? You see a lot of, duality again presented here through light and darkness, day and night. And Mikahe, whenever she's near the kitchen, there is always light, and there is happiness, and there is life, okay? She, through cooking and all that, she makes this whole family be together and become actually a real family. Okay, that will be like the summary of the book. A quote again from Kitchen says that this was his mother. This is the first time Mikahe sees Eriko. So she says, "This was his mother. Dumbfounded, I couldn't take my eyes off her. Hair that rustled like silk to her shoulders, the deep sparkle of her long, narrow eyes, well-formed lips, a nose with a high, straight bridge. The whole of her face gave off a marvelous light that seemed to vibrate with life force." So again, you see through this description how Eriko is presented, right, as a complete, strong, fulfilled, empowered woman, right? And that's the message that Banana Yoshimoto is telling us, right? And also, this is another example. It's a quote from the book, and this is with the moment that she is murdered, right? One night, and this is Eriko talking. One night, I mean, that's from the perspective of Mikahe, that is the one that tells the story, but this is Eriko, right? One night screaming that he had been made a fool. This is the murderer, the man, of he lunged on her with a knife. Eriko, wounded, grabbed a barbell that is sort of a, metal stick that you can find at gyms, and attacked back. Again, it was part of the club's decoration with both hands and beat him to death. There, she said, self-defense. That makes us even. Those were her last words. So here, through this situation, we see that Eriko is presented as a very strong, empowered woman. Okay, so again, Banana Yoshimoto is sending a message. Okay, for the Japanese society about the transgender women. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about comparisons between the two texts. Okay. First, of course, they both present transgender women. Okay. However, the reality is totally different. One, the book from 1918 and the movie from 2007, and that is what 30 years of difference. So it is important because these transgender women, as you can see here with the surgery, the one in Banana Yoshimoto has not undergone any surgery, but the one in the movie has. So you see the changes in the Japanese society, right? Both women are accepted and rejected by society, right? In the movie, Eriko is rejected. Rinko, sorry, is rejected by the Tom's mother, okay, and by other people who laugh at her and insult her, right? But also, the mother has really accepted her, and actually, there is like sort of a flashback in the movie, and you see the mother knitting these woolen breasts for her when Rinko was a teenager. Okay, so there is acceptance. Likewise, in the book, you have also that Yuichi has accepted Eiko as a woman. And throughout the book, the story, she uses the pronoun she. Okay, and that even before, when he talks about like before Eiko underwent this surgery when he was a man, when she was a man, Yuichi refers to her as she, and that is important, okay? Both of them basically have no family, so they only have themselves, okay? I'm talking about relatives. You don't see anybody outside their family, right? In the case of the movie, you have only Tomo's mother, and that's it, and Rinko's mother, that's it. And in the book, nobody, right? Everybody has died, okay? Both of them, these transgender women, are presented, shown as good, excellent mothers, okay? And these two women are also reach fulfillment in their lives by, taking this decision of becoming a woman, okay? So that is also fulfillment being reached there, okay? And the main character in both stories is actually a young girl, right? Tomo in the movie, 11 years old, and then Mikahe in the book, also sort of in the 20s maybe. Okay, so young people. Okay, also addressing the younger generations. All right. What conclusions I came after analyzing these two texts? Okay, well, first, I think that there is a sort of a message, okay? And you see the change in society. If you compare the time the book was published in 1918 and the movie, there are different things, and things have changed, okay? You never see in the, for example, in the book, Eriko talking about getting married or changing the gender. But you see that in the movie, and that is a change in the society, and that is that goes together with the changes in the Japanese society, as I pointed at the beginning of the presentation, with the context of the Japanese society. Also, there is also like this sort of acceptance of rights, okay, and the figure of transgender individual women or men in the Japanese society, little by little, but it has been done, okay. NHK, for example, that is like one of the most important TV broadcasters in Japan, has now TV series dealing with transgender people. Recently, last year, My Life as a Girl came out, okay? And also the documentaries that you can see or watch in NHK deal with that, okay? And finally, I feel that through these texts, okay, and now the documentaries and the TV shows in the Japanese television, there is some sort of a didactic purpose. They're teaching and they're trying to make people become aware of these people that were maybe ignored in the past, although unconsciously this duality or double standard or I don't know idea of ambiguity has been part of the Japanese society from the beginning. All right, and I just want to finish with this, and this is something from this year, a couple of months from NHK. Okay, and just for you to see that the society is changing. Okay, let's pay attention. This is called living as a double minority. Okay, well, there's something here. Just let me look for it, and then I will play it for you. All right, one moment. Okay, so here is the video. Okay, this is short. It's just 3 minutes, but I just want you to pay attention to that. Okay. Okay, this is the video then. And with this, I just want to conclude, okay? I think there is some progress, okay? And you can see it like through a documentary or this video presented that is by NHK and the broadcaster, not only Japan, but outside Japan. And something that maybe you noticed is that all these three texts, I mean, the last video and the movie and the book, the main characters, they have, well, no, the women, the director, Banana Yoshimoto, and this woman, they had to go overseas. And there they saw something new. And when they returned to Japan, they tried to, start the change within the society. And I think they achieved that little by little. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much. And now it is time for questions. Okay, if you have any questions or doubts, then I'm all ears. Okay, thank you very much.